Hey guys, how's it doing? It's me, Base Libertarian. Today I'm going to be talking about the post office scandal and how it relates to the Great Reset. Here I'm going to be talking about what a centralized finance system really means. So, as you know, the ITU drama has come out depicting the post office scandal. There's national uproar about this. Everyone wants blood. And even members in the parliament, including the Prime Minister himself, has had to give a lot of input. The Prime Minister himself has basically said that the compensation should be paid out as quickly as possible in full. The prosecutors should be prosecuted, and every conviction should be overturned. And over 1 million people have called for Paula Vanells to hand over her CBE status. So compensation has not been paid yet, sadly. No one's been jailed yet. No account's been taken. Fujitsu have not received any consequence, despite them manufacturing the faulty Horizon system and covering up evidence of its bugs and its remote access feature. And a few days before this all happened, Fujitsu was given a new 19 million pound contract, which is a real kick in the teeth. And yeah, it is evident that Fujitsu manipulated records, which does account to fraud by false representation, possibly theft and other kinds of fraud, as well as aiding in malicious prosecution. So Paula Vanells has just recently handed over her CBE because, she's the most despised person in the country. I've signed the petition myself to get her to overturn her CBE. 1.2 million petitions signed. But what's interesting is that in this clip down here, I'll edit it in a video, she's advocated for a centralized digital finance system. And she references universal credit, which is a very broken welfare system.
It is much easier if you can manage all of your finances, for instance, digitally. It is a great ambition. Digital matters to everybody. If you want to benefit from the way the government is moving with the new universal credit in a couple of years, for example, it is much easier if you can manage all of your finances, for instance, digitally. It is a great ambition because if every organisation is online by 2020, the UK economy will benefit substantially as well, and that's important for everybody.
And what is alarming about this is that this is a person who has defended a faulty computer system that has led to people going to prison and losing everything. And this is why we should not have a centralized finance system, because it will result in people losing money overnight. So this has a lot to do with the Great Reset. But just think about this, right? We have the idea of digital money being advocated by world leaders, saying we should have a centralized finance system where there's complete transparency and the government can keep us all safe. But it won't work because any piece of software that the government creates or private firms contracted by the government results in computer glitches, faulty software, especially when it occurs in large scales. Any form of token currency does not work. We've seen it with FTX, and the government has had a bad track record with large IT systems. Another example is the $35 billion Serco contract with the COVID test and trace computer system. So the NHS IT system was commissioned, it was created over a decade ago. Basically, it was a £6 billion contract that ended up costing over £10 billion. The largest players such as Accenture and Fujitsu were contracted, but it was a big disaster because the profit motive ended up causing the budget to be overinflated, and it just caused the system to be built very poorly. The timetable was unrealistic. There was a lack of engagement. There's a lack of engagement with stakeholders. There was a failure to compare the progress with the requirements, and the testing was very poor. Yeah, very bad system. And finally, if we get to the Great Reset is all about centralized management. Management is important because management inevitably leads to ownership. Because management means that those who are in power have... Management leads to those who are managing having their power justified, which means they can very easily become the real owners of the means of production. This has been highlighted over and over again in The Managerial Revolution. It's a book by James Burnham. I'm halfway through the audiobook, and it's pretty based. And so, this has a lot to do with our system, which is not capitalism, where the capitalists are in charge, not socialism, where a collective group of people are in charge, although... Okay, you could argue it's socialism, but ultimately this is managerialism, where the faceless managers, who have not initially created the system, who are just people who manage resources, end up managing and owning the means of production. And this means that there's always a lack of accountability because nobody knows who's in charge. Thank you. That's it.